awesome. And I do have to say, we found out last night that not only are we all females in the industry, but we have, I think, 5 generations standing up here right now, like 20s, 30s, 40s, and
60s.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know. So it's pretty awesome. A lot of us are new, some of us are in the middle, and some of us have been there. So I'm gonna let you start, Christine, and just introduce yourself and what has inspired you to be able to make film.
Hi, I'm Christine Parker. I run Sick Chick Flicks Productions, and what has inspired me? Everything. Everything has inspired me my whole life. Especially my mother. She's the one that introduced me to horror films. We used to sit and watch the old classic Hammer films, and that was a huge inspiration for me getting into making movies. And then I actually didn't start until I was in my 40s, and have been doing it for 15 years, and it's been great.
Well, I'm Scary Carrie Jones, and I'm a character actress. What inspired me was when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be an actress. I just didn't tell them when I was going to be an actress, but I always loved horror. I worshiped Lon Chaney Jr., Lon Chaney Sr., all of the greats. Favorite movie, Nosferatu. It was my pleasure to play pranks on my brothers and sisters to scare the living daylights out of them. They still think back on these wonderful moments. But thanks to Christine, she helped me find my inner monster, and here I am.
Hello, I'm Destiny. So let me see. I guess I started writing screenplays more so the past couple of years, and I haven't been extremely into horror. I've been more so into sci-fi. I enjoy watching horror, but I'm scared to write it because I feel like it'll like get inside of me and I'll be like terrified all the time. But I like the suspense aspect of it all. I'm trying to, figure out where everything starts and how it affects people's lives, like the supernatural aspect of it all.
Hi, my name's Amanda. I'm from Minnesota. My husband and I, we both co-own Steep Hill Films. We've been doing that for about 13 years now. And I've always loved horror films. I've been watching movies since I was a kid. My mom would tape them off of cable with our VCR back in the day, and I would just sit and rewatch and just always, especially loved horror films. Saw all of the ones from mid to late 70s through the 80s when I was a kid multiple times, and yeah, just we started doing this quite a few years ago. Years ago, working together, and just kind of been evolving ever since.
That's awesome. Like Matt and I are husband-wife team, and then we see you guys husband-wife team, and it's nice because either husbands and wives get along and work together all the time, or
you don't.
Yeah, and it's nice to know that you're supportive and everything, and you handle a lot of things on the back end because there is so much that goes into making a film, and there's so many different jobs. So it's nice when you can find people to split those jobs up and just know, all right, she's gonna do that, I'm gonna do that, and Christine, you and Carrie actually work together quite often, and I'm just gonna say, because you did say when you were 40, that's when you started making films, and it's a new day and age.
Yeah.
So, and Carrie, you're 59 right now. You're in your 60s, but
You're
you've
in the
always
will.
wanted to do this.
You're in the will.
You always wanted to do this, and a lot of people you hear like when they're 41. Say, oh, we're too old now. But that's not the case with you guys. And it's great now that the younger generation, it's not like it was when I guess we were younger. And now there's a lot more resources. So can you tell all of us like what has kind of changed throughout the years that now you're able, past 40, to just do what you always wanted to do and have everybody love you and accept you, and expand on that a little bit.
I don't know if everybody loves me and accepts me, but I keep trying. Well, I mean, back when I was younger, everything was done on film, and it was a very expensive process to not only just get a film camera to shoot on that was decent enough, and then also go through the whole processing for the film, and then you have to do your audio separately, and I mean, it was just very expensive to make a film back then and get people to support you. So it wasn't until I was like nearly 40 when I went back to school and studied broadcast technology that I realized, you know, I could find a fairly decent digital camera and make a movie, and it wouldn't cost me a fortune. I could do it, you know, with my own money. So I guess that's the biggest change, is the affordability of being able to realize my passion for film and my passion for horror films, and being able to get it out there to people. That itself has changed just since I started making horror films. You used to have a distributor, everything was on DVD. Now you can just, you know, you can reach thousands and thousands of people on the internet with your films and have them see it. Without having to use a distributor, you can distribute it yourself. So it's a great day to be making films this time right now.
Yes, I definitely feel that. I just want to pass the mic to Destiny, because she's the 20s, y'all.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, you growing up, like, I guess your family must have been supportive of you being an artist. How did you just start, because you're a filmmaker, and I know I'm not going to spoil anything, but your film is the first time you had like a full crew behind you. So how did you grow from just being a person with an idea into now you have a full crew?
Okay, let me see. So first, it's kind of a long story. I went to this bed and breakfast with my husband, and there was a filmmaker there who owned the bed and breakfast, and I talked to him for a while, and he basically was like, you know, you don't have to go anywhere in particular to be a filmmaker. You can make films where you are, just like find a community. So then I joined a writer's workshop, and while I was in the writer's workshop, you know, I just worked on my screenwriting, and I eventually started my own screenwriting workshop with a group of people, and the group of people wanted to make films every couple months, and so there are like people in the group who do it for commercial jobs, or like there was a guy who was the videographer for a real estate company. There's a guy who owned like film equipment. So we had all the people we needed, but they just wanted to do something creative and not something, you know, so commercial. So basically we put our script title in a hat and just drew it, and mine got drawn first, so that's how I got mine made. And so we got the whole crew together and made it. Cool. And so now I have like, you know, I have writer's workshop, and I have other like things that have come from just knowing people, and so it's a lot easier for me to get a crew together and get equipment and stuff.
That's awesome. So because you said your husband and you're in your 20s, so you've it's taken us mature women, and I'm probably still not even there yet, but it took you a long time to go from where she was to where she is now, yeah. Which, you know, it's inspiring because Destiny, you have your whole life in front of you. So, is your husband involved in all in any of your?
Yes, because we're doing another short film next month, and so he's like the executive producer, and he's been helping me raise money for it and like find locations, and he helped me find my music director, because he's good at talking to people and like networking and going out there. I'm more reserved. I prefer to like do the artistic side of it, but he's like helping me, you know, get out there and talk to people and meet people in our area.
Awesome. And when you say he helps like with the location, I hope you've had a few minutes to maybe look around since you got here last night, because we have a lot to offer here. And, you know, it's great that you're supportive and he helps you so much behind the scenes. I'm going to make you pass the mic to Amanda there, because you and Brent, you guys have been together for a long time.
Yeah, we've been married 23 years.
They got together like in kindergarten. But so that's a long time. You guys have done a lot of growing and learning. So who was it first that was like, I want to make a movie, and then how'd you guys become what you are today?
That was actually Brent. He was pursuing a career as a tattoo artist, and then had an accident, which kind of had to reevaluate what we were going to do as a career option. And at the time, I worked in healthcare. We have kids and stuff, so. But so then sat down and made a list of things that he really likes to do and what we really want to do, and films, movies was right at the top of the list. And so he did his research and found some film schools. He did a traditional film school first, and then he did a digital video media program. This is back in 2005. Yeah, and it was one of like 3 in the country at that time because it hadn't quite boomed everywhere else. And luckily, one was in Minnesota. So he completed that program, and then we just started right from there doing some short films. And first feature, I think, was 2008. Yeah, yep. And then we've done, 4 featers, 5 features, multiple short films. We've done different festivals, local ones and stuff, and then sent them out, like to here and other places and stuff. So, yeah, we've just been growing and evolving ever since then. And, always keeping up with the technology changes as well, and reinvesting into your own company, and yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing's like, I know, because I'm married into the Halloween and all of this, and I love it too, but I just didn't, think that I could ever. Anyway, like, you handle a lot of, like, the back, like Destiny's husband, but you help keep things organized.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Which I think it helps, and one of us has to do it. And I mean, Brian, I think you must be super wise and intelligent for you to just be like, you know what, let's go ahead and do this. We have the kids, but, because a lot of people think, oh, it's over for me, once you get married and have kids, or, but there's always room to start. It's never too late, and it's awesome when somebody, is in their 20s and just started, and you have a supportive husband. And I do have to say, this is your farthest trip to a festival so far. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
29 hours.
Yes.
And part of our mission, is to let you guys come here, most of you for the first time, and see what we have to offer here. As female filmmakers, because we're kind of detail-oriented, what do you look for in a filming location? I'll start with you, and then you can, like, pass it down. We could skip Destiny unless it's female filmmakers, but yeah, Amanda first, and then Christine, yeah.
Pretty much, we start with the script. Brent writes the script, and on those projects, but it's usually fairly detailed as to what we're looking for regarding a location. So then we go through and think about any ones that we know of, and then we go out and we'll scout some different places until we can find the right one that we need. Also, networking is a good way locally to ask people, say, hey, looking for this particular thing, and a lot of times that helps us out as well. So it's definitely a team effort when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As far as locations go, we're looking for locations that are easily accessible, that are flexible as far as shooting times, that are cheap, that aren't super expensive, and that won't have an issue with us having a lot of gore in our scenes, that will trust us to clean it up, and, that are excited about the project that we're working on. So.
Well, I just have this question. Have any of you ever gone to a place and had that place inspire you to make a film?
Oh, Carrie.
Well, we've been to a lot of places over the past 10 years, and sometimes we may use a place twice and redo it, but that Enfield Inn, and when we went there, there was also a place where we filmed just a little bit. Remember the,
Yeah, the
Masonic,
Lodge.
and that ended
Yeah.
up being something big in another film.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you reuse things differently.
Mhm.
So it's called recycling.
Nice. And Destiny, I know you're just starting out, but when you're inspired, and whether it was before you actually put it down on paper, or I guess in the computer now, did you ever go somewhere in your life? And just so everybody knows, you're from South Carolina, but where in South Carolina?
Greenville.
Greenville. Okay, so kind of like in the middle there. Did you grow up there?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay. Did you ever go anywhere else and maybe say, and start thinking of?
Yes, it was 2 times that happened. So the film that we're about to see today, the first location, I won't say where it is, but I went there with my friend, and that kind of inspired that script because me and her were talking, and we kind of came up with the story idea together. And then, like for my day job, I had to do a lot of driving through South Carolina, and so I saw a lot of like landscapes and like a lot of farming areas, and Gray Court, South Carolina is just like very rural, and so that inspired a story idea about a woman back in the 1800s, like back like post Civil War times. And so I really want to shoot there, but I only have my script right now. But that kind of like I have that imagery from driving around there.
That's awesome.
So, again, I know us ladies could talk about it for a long time probably, but what would each one of you say to maybe a young girl, because Matt and I talk, you kind of got to start training these girls from birth, but, elementary school of the ways of the world, and so what kind of message would you have for a young girl who's got a creative, wild, great imagination, and maybe is thinking, ooh, sees a movie and was like, I wish I could do that. What would you say to her? Maybe we'll start with Amanda since the mic's closest to you right down there.
That's a good question. I would probably just let or tell them to make sure that they pursue what feels right to them and continue on. This field is very challenging at times. There's a lot of things you try to do and you work, and sometimes you get knocked down, but you got to be able to pick yourself back up and continue if it's something you really want to do and something that you really enjoy. And it is the best job. It's super stressful, but it's the best job. No 2 days are the same, ever. And but I would just tell them just keep doing what they want to do and don't give up and just keep going forward.
Awesome.
I would pretty much say the same thing, but besides like the external factors that like bring you down, it's like the inner voice you have that tells you you can't do stuff, or that people won't like what you have to offer, or that you're not talented enough to do it. So I just tell them to just fight that and keep going until they feel confident in what they're doing.
Nice.
I would say basically, if you can dream it, you can be it. And of course, do your homework. Learn what it takes to do something like this, and then move forward.
I guess I would this is all great advice. I'm the last person that has to come up with something. I would say the only person limiting you is yourself. So, and never feel like you have to rely on other people. Rely on your strength and your vision and make it happen.
Yes, and I like to dig a little deep here, but you two were married, and now you're doing what you love, but you two found, obviously, your soulmate at a young age, because that is very important. I would say myself, too, having done that once before, I would say that, yes, you find your passion, but when it comes to dating girls, you need to find a man who's going to support you, and who's, not going to be intimidated, and, you work together, and that definitely helps. But if, a young filmmaker is maybe dating around, and she's dating some guy, and he doesn't support her, wouldn't you women say, well, you just did say you don't really need that. You can still do it on your own. So I just think that if you guys could go back in time to your 20s, would you have would you have liked to step back and maybe said, you know what, I don't need that because they're probably not supportive of my dreams, and maybe do you think that would have changed how things are now today, or do you think that because of all that you are stronger today? Because I mean, we didn't meet first, but I read up on you in Sick Chicks film. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I figure I'm like, some lady's gonna come in here, and then they come in and they're like so sweet as can be, and I'm like, and you know, we talked briefly, but you said I'm feminist, girl power. So I'm just saying, like, what can you recommend? Because you know, you're living it, and you're doing it, and you're there at that point where you're confident in yourself. You started, you know, a film festival to inspire other young artists.
Yes.
Is there anything that, you know, message you want to get across to female filmmakers out there?
Well, I mean, everybody has a journey that they have to take to get to their destination. And for me, it was going through those first 40 years and finding myself and finding my own strength. And, you know, a lot of that I didn't find until after my divorce. But I don't think I would have been able to do this in my 20s. And not because of who I married, because of just, I didn't have the confidence in myself. And I didn't find that until I was, you know, 40. I think the older you get, the less you give a crap about what people think. So you just do what you want to do.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's why, Destiny, we just met yesterday. None of us, you know, we haven't seen your film yet. But I got to say, I'm already very proud of you.
Thank you.
Because, you know, you're what it's all about. And you're starting young. And there's hope in this very crazy world. And Amanda's living proof that, you know, things can happen. And then you two are the ultimate proof that, yes, even if we make mistakes, we can learn and pick ourselves up and be amazing. So now that you guys have met, do you think maybe you might, like, talk again sometime, or you know, like, band together? Because I know you and Carrie have been together, I say been together, but 10 years. And
Working together 10 years.
yeah, and it's good to just find someone you can trust like that. Minnesota's kind of far, but you guys are willing to make the trip, and we've heard you might do it again, so that's awesome. Yep. And North Carolina, South Carolina. Destiny, do you think that some of your challenges might actually be a little easier because you have your bodyguard with you?
Yeah, okay, well, I think this hasn't necessarily happened to me, but a lot of women run into the guys that like them, and then they're like, I'm not going to help you unless you, you know, like, whatever. So I think it makes it easier having him around, because even if they're considering trying something, they're like, well, he's here, you know, so I'm not really going to pursue you, or, you know, you don't have to deal with
They
it
behave
so much.
themselves.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
behave.
Yeah, and that way you know, too, that they're really working with you because of your work, not because of, you know, how you look. But I know, Carrie, you got it rough because you're hot number, and Christine, you know, like, and again, you come across as just so sweet. Like, do you guys ever
She's
get
not
taken
sweet.
advantage of?
You know, you have to take into consideration, too, I don't know about you guys, but you have to hold down a full-time job. It's a choice. It's a choice to be on your own. That you come to a point where you say, I'm my own cheering section. I don't need that support. It's nice to have it, but I'm not going to waste my time looking, because I'm holding down a full-time job and I'm doing movies. So, you know, honestly, you've got to be able to look forward and say, I'm on my own. I can do this.
Very true. And Christine,
Uh-huh.
you especially, you know, you're filmmakers. So do you find men judging you based on, you know, that you're a woman,
We did have an issue with some douchebag filmmakers, who these guys thought that they were just it, and they tried to ruin my reputation as a filmmaker by spreading lies about me on social media and stuff. But I'm working on my 5th feature film, and they've made nothing, I think, in the past few years. So you just have to brush it off and just keep going.
Yeah, and with social media, it's so dangerous, but again, it can be very beneficial
Yeah.
for you to portray yourself. And like I said, I mean, I didn't know who was going to come in here, Sick Chicks Films, but
We're not as scary as we sound.
no, not at all, not at all. But I do love that they're so sweet and innocent, but it's in there
Really not
too.
that innocent.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming up here. Does anybody else have questions? Yes, Alan.
Yes, for Christine, you said you don't use, traditional distribution. Have you been able to monetize anyway through like YouTube? Not that has to be your goal, but have you been able to?
Well, like my first 2 features, I did use traditional distribution, which is why I don't want to use traditional distribution anymore, because they got the lion's share of everything, of course, and we got just a little bit. I mean, it was good for getting our name out there, but I'm looking at aggregators for this new one, so somebody that they can just get my film on Amazon and Hulu and Netflix, and it's something I'm trying. I haven't had any experience doing that yet, so this is something new for me. I'm hoping it will work well. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Do you prefer to develop your own stories, to collaborate with a screenwriter, or to find a script that's already in existence with your projects?
You want me to start? Actually, I've done all of those. I write most of my own stuff. I've worked with another friend of mine who's been with me from the beginning, and we've collaborated on a few of our scripts. And then I did have an experience where somebody sent me a script and asked me if I would make it, and read it and thought it was really funny, so we did that as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm flexible.
I haven't worked with another writer or produced someone else's script, but I would be open to it. I just think I haven't found anyone who has like a compatible writing style or compatible movie style in general for me to collaborate with them. But I would definitely be open to directing their work because I like directing almost as much as I like writing.
Well, we've done pretty much all of that. Bren is our writer as far as our team goes. I do work with him. We'll work together on story sometimes, depending on what it is. But then he's the one that turns it into, the actual full-flowing script. We've also worked on other people's scripts, other people's projects that they've presented to us. And yeah, so it's kind of all of those different options we've done before, and we're, open to doing that as well.
Have you guys ever made a film based on your life?
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
It ended up that way.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And again, we're trying to get the message across that all of you and other people who you might not realize, like myself, I'm a classical concert violinist, so if you need music, the scary music, I could do that, And it doesn't have to be so crazy expensive. But if you wanted to find somebody from far, far away, there's people out there and there's human beings that can still do the work, even though technology makes it easy to just, put that auto piano or whatever. And so if anybody, especially around here, and again, could you like maybe if we had a screenwriter here, Destiny, would you guys like maybe work together if you were going to direct that film? How would that work? Like they would email you, find you on social media or whatever, and then you guys work a deal, and then
I don't know. I would have to ask how she would do it or how she would do it because I've never, collaborated with someone. But it would be cool because I do share a lot of scripts through Facebook Messenger or email, and I do a lot of giving people feedback on their scripts. and trying to help them out. Cause like the group I was telling you about, I was the script coordinator, and so when people wanted to get their shorts produced, I would work with them and make sure that it was like good quality.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do a lot of that, and it comes with a lot of issues. People get really offended, when you tell them something needs to be changed with their script. They feel like it might be personal or.
How do you know they won't steal your ideas though when you do that? Like, are you worried about that?
No, I mean you can get it registered with the WGA, or you can get it copywritten.
Well, let's finish up the answer to that question. I know you said, so maybe you can learn, and I know we do have filmmakers out there, screenwriters. So Destiny might be your girl. Amanda, what advice would you have how to go about collaborating with someone?
It just depends on the script and what they're looking to do with it, and working with them on it, whether it's a feature or a short, what the content is, and kind of go from there. And you do a lot of time, or spend a lot of time working with them, talking with them, going over the story and that kind of stuff. And yeah.
So you don't actually have to make the trip to somewhere
No.
for a long time, but eventually you would probably for the actual production, or maybe not.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, I know we're getting, again, we can yap a little short on time. So I do want to say thank you guys so much for coming up here, and it's great to meet you all. I hope you guys have a second out there during the breaks, maybe to talk to these women, the locals. Again, this festival, we've met more locals than I think out-of-towners, which is kind of funny because they just didn't know that this existed. And when they find out, they love it. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I know you filmed here, actually, your feature you're working on before all of this.
Yeah.
And that's to be announced maybe and talk about in the future. So make sure you guys look them up on social media. You can follow their careers. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started with our next female block. Let you girls get comfortable. And let's give it up for the ladies.